Gentlemen, this is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Tuesday, the 8th day of October, year of our Lord 2019, welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our shows with something that's highly unlikely to happen in most schools in Oakland, California. I think it's probably non-existent. That would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prepper tip of the day, we're going to expand on this. We're going to have open lines the first hour, by the way. Want to encourage all of you to check out the Appleseed Project. I'm at their website right now, appleseedinfo.org. I say again, appleseedinfo.org. Like I said a moment ago, we'll have open lines this first hour, top of the hour. The second hour, we'll have a gentleman, we are calling him Billy Bob. He's going to give us a first-hand report on some things he's observed, and we'll follow up with Leon Green. Appleseed. They've been around for a number of years. I've got to talk to the founder of Appleseed several times, and here's how they began at their website. It says, skilled marksmanship, an American tradition. They say the following: you can't write the story of America without including several chapters about the skill and bravery of our forefathers. On April 19th, 1775, at Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts, American colonists stood with muskets in hand and faced down the British forces that were trying to seize their arms. The colonists did it with grit, determination, and superior marksmanship. They were real marksmen, nobly and ably putting their skills on the line in the pursuit of liberty. We are the descendants of these fearless men and women who earned our freedom on the battlefield. We honor their pursuit of liberty by passing along the skills and knowledge that aided them in securing it. Today's rifleman understands that owning and mastering a rifle is part of his or her American heritage. Whether you're a new shooter or a seasoned marksman, Project Appleseed can help transform you from a person with a rifle into a principled and skilled rifleman. On the John Moore Radio Show, we have a lot of things to address when it comes to marksmanship. We address both ends of the spectrum. My guest Monday, Sam Andrews, is a world-class marksman, a world-class rifle builder. He's on a first-name basis with the movers and shakers in the industry concerning rifles, optics, ammunition, training, and he is one of them. And what we talk about on Mondays largely applies to people who already have skills and want to take those skills to a higher level. Today we're going to talk more about the average guy and the average gal who has little, if any, skills. They're just novices, just getting started, which applies to many veterans, by the way. The majority of veterans have very marginal skills with a rifle. And that's what we're going to talk about here when it comes to Appleseed. So here on their website, it says find Appleseed events by state. So I'll click on that, and there's a map of the 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. We have a lot of listeners in all over the country. Let's just go to Montana, and I'll click on there, see what we have coming up. Okay, and find an event. Okay, well, Montana, maybe this is not a good place to start. Let's go back here a little bit. See, I'm doing this extemporaneously. I didn't really plan this in advance. I know there's some in Missouri. Okay, find an event. Okay, maybe that's not the best place to be. Yeah, here we go. Okay, click on that. Bench Rest Rifle Club, I've been there. Looks like they got an upcoming event this coming weekend in Wright City, October 12th and 13th. Their website is shootingstl.com. It's shooting Sierra Tango Lima.com. And they got a special notice there. A certain model of Smith & Wesson pistol is not allowed at the on the range. Okay, so we'll go back here and check this map out again. The new map. You want the new map. They haven't cleaned up their website yet. I'm just going to look at some of these states here. We got Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Idaho. None in Montana, by the way. None in Utah. It looks like about 3 in Wyoming, 3 in Colorado, 3 in Arizona, and Nevada has 1. New Mexico has about 2 or 3. It looks like it might be in Texas. None in Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, or North Dakota. 1 in Missouri. We got Iowa, Minnesota. There's a couple. Wisconsin. Looks like about 4. This one, it looks like maybe none in Illinois, 1 in Indiana on the border of Illinois. Michigan has a bunch, looks like 6 up there. Ohio has 4. Down there at the intersection of Kentucky and Virginia, looks like there's 1. North Carolina has 1. Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, there's a cluster of them there. Florida has a bunch. Florida does have a bunch. Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like about 15 events there in Florida. Texas has about 5, it looks like. Oklahoma, a couple. You need to check this out yourself and find one, hopefully, that's near you. If you're in Montana, you're going to have a drive. You'll be going to Idaho, it looks like. Sign up. And I haven't been to one of these. I've read about them for years. I've talked to instructors who work these projects, and they have fun. They go through special training in 2 areas. One is marksmanship with rifles, and the other is training in our American heritage concerning the American Revolution and what really took place then. The cost is relatively insignificant. Let's see if I can get down to the cost here. And pick one out and see what the cost would be. Let's just pick one out here in Wyoming and pick it out. Okay. See if they have any listing of the cost here. Miscellaneous, 600-yard range. Okay, I'm not seeing the cost here. It isn't leaping off the page at me. They don't want you to bring your firearms in loaded. Upcoming event. Okay, let's just click on that. Tickets are not refundable. Looks like, okay, this is for instructors. A range fee, $5 per day per person. And then there's a membership fee, that's $25. And, okay, I'm not seeing any other costs involved here. These costs are relatively insignificant compared to the knowledge you get, compared to the training you get. Good quality training at a very reasonable price, and it's fun. You see photographs here at their website of Appleseed Project. You'll see that these guys and gals have obviously had some fun that day. Let's go on programs here. Marksmanship clinics. These events were typically 2-day programs that teach rifle and marksmanship skills that were once commonly practiced. Our instructors put in nearly 200 hours of training so they can teach the skills that will one day allow a rifleman to be accurate out to 500 yards. This distance is known as the traditional rifleman's quarter mile, and it's been part of America's marksmanship repertoire since our country's earliest days. During breaks, we'll tell you the true story of the earliest days of our nation, including the detailed events of April 19th, 1775. You may be surprised by what you hear. Whether you've never fired a rifle before or are already a competitive shooter, no one comes to an Appleseed project ever leaves the same. The new skills, the history, and the friendships are inspiring and life-changing. Now, 500 yards is a quarter mile. And actually, just let's say 440 yards is a quarter mile, so it's just more than a quarter mile, but that's close enough. 5 football fields, 500 yards. That's a pretty good chunk of space to put a piece of lead downrange and have any expectation at all of hitting anything. I would say that most servicemen and servicewomen can't do that. The majority of them can't do that. And these little carbines they're carrying around, these M16s, are really not going to do very good at that range anyway. But they're finally changing it out. We've talked about that in the past, how they're finally going to abandon that 5.56 NATO cartridge. Big mistake. A half century's worth of big mistake there. Then they have what they call known distance Appleseed, a weekend-long program that teaches the secrets of shooting out to 400 yards, including target detection and ranging, measuring and compensating for wind, scopes and reticles, MOAs and mills, boxing your sights, battle sight zero, and come-ups, and much more. Since this material requires previous exposure to skills taught in an Appleseed, only students have been at least one Appleseed can attend the known distance Appleseed. Experienced shooters will find that shooting successfully at rifleman distances is a major confidence builder and an opportunity not to be missed. All right, I should mention we got. If any of you have been to an Appleseed event, just give us a call at 800-313-9443. Rifleman's Boot Camp. This is a comprehensive week-long program that builds the skills required at previous Appleseeds and known distance Appleseeds. Rifleman's Boot Camp puts you on the fast track to becoming a rifleman or an Appleseed instructor. The training consists of classroom instruction, range safety instruction, and marksmanship from various distances. You learn the basics of shooting at 25 yards and how these same principles translate into shots at 100, 200, 300, and 400 yards away. During this intense week, you'll have the chance to get to know your dedicated volunteer instructors and your fellow students really well on the way to forging lifelong bonds and friendships. In the words of one of our RBC graduates, if you don't have one of the best times of your life at this boot camp, something is seriously wrong with you. Well, it's a long time to spend in training, a week. Next, they go into what they call the lady seeds. For many women, I would say almost all women, a rifle range is an unfamiliar and potentially intimidating territory, which is why we created Lady Seeds. A lady seed is an Appleseed designed specifically for women. It offers the opportunity for women to shoot, share, and get to know each other in a comfortable learning environment. Of course, women who attend a Lady Seed event will learn much more about how to fire a rifle. They'll also learn American heritage and how women actively aided in the fight for America's freedom. When you attend a Lady Seed, it's our hope that you'll leave with new friends, a renewed sense of country, and an enhanced sense of responsibility. And they have a photograph there of a couple of young women in a seated position shooting their rifles. Now we go to the last one on here, and they call this Liberty Seeds. We all learn about the Revolutionary War in school, where it was fought, who fired the first shots, and Paul Revere's famous ride. But is what we learned in school the whole story, or in some cases, even the real story? The Revolutionary War Veterans Association is a group of volunteers who will shed new light on the story of how our nation was born, the story that historians have discovered. The Revolutionary War Veterans Association representatives will bring the events of April 19th, 1775, a day that some will call the most important day of American history, to life. Along the way, they'll reveal some historical facts that might surprise you, like the following. Who fired the famous shot heard around the world? I don't know that. What's the name of the obscure location where the Revolutionary War really began? And next bullet point. How were colonists able to break the British line at Concord's North Bridge in under 2 minutes? Well, they probably attacked is what they did. I don't know. The Revolutionary War Veterans Association invites you to experience a Liberty Seed event where they will recount the happenings leading up to the birth of our nation. Liberty Seeds are free and open to anyone. If you have a group that's interested in hosting a Liberty Seed, no matter where you live in the U.S., please contact us. Well, it's not a day involving range time, although they've got a photograph here of a man in looks like somewhat period costume. I don't think they had blue jeans in 1775 or a baseball cap, but he's got a musket and it's being fired there. So I don't know what all this entails, if they just bring instructors and teachers to your location, or if they actually have a range set up and demonstrate these 200-plus-year-old rifles being shot, rifles and muskets. And I think the majority of Americans had rifles, by the way, while the majority of the Brits, all the Brits, had muskets. What's the difference? Well, a rifle has rifling in it. That's the inside of the barrel has these, and we have a break. We'll be right Tuesday, the 8th day of October, Tuesday. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We are going on a cruise, R&R. It will be romantic if you choose it to be. Valentine's Day is right in the middle of the cruise. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there. Leon Green will be there. We're patiently waiting to find out if Sam Andrews and his wife can go. She's waiting on her employer to give her the green light for those days off for vacation time. We'll see. In the meantime, we're going to go. This cruise will happen. We leave Florida Sunday the 9th of February, return a week later on Saturday the 16th. We'll get together for dinner every evening. We'll have some get-togethers during the day for exchanging information and have a little bit of training. It'll be fun training, nothing really intense. Yeah, there's 20 restaurants on this ship, the Harmony of the Seas. This is the biggest cruise ship that there is. They don't make any. There's some being built that are larger, but in terms of what's on the seas right now, this is as big as it gets. The Harmony of the Seas. Be a lot of fun. Hope you can join us. You need to reserve your cabin by the end of the month. If you don't, well, that opportunity's gone. If you don't have internet access, I know many of you don't. You'd like to have our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, mail you a nice full-color brochure. Give Betsy a call at 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. We're talking about the Appleseed Project. Taking your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. Becoming an instructor for Appleseed is a lot of work. These men and women are not paid anything. They do this as a volunteer effort because they love it. That's their passion. And they say part teacher, part storyteller. Becoming an Appleseed instructor isn't easy, but it does offer its own unique set of rewards. After all, shooting instruction is only part of the job. The other part is being able to reconnect students with the people and events that helped shape our country, along with the ideals that we all hope to preserve from that time. To become eligible for Appleseed Project, a shooter must attend at least 2 Appleseeds and achieve a score of 210 or better on the Appleseed qualification test while shooting from multiple positions. If it's determined that a potential candidate has the skills and temperament to become an Appleseed instructor, he or she may receive the orange hat of an instructor in training. Then their fun really begins. Appleseed projects only good as its instructors. For that reason, it takes a lot for an individual to learn the coveted instructor's red hat. As everyone who attends an Appleseed event quickly learns, the training and hands-on experience of Appleseed instructors result in an experience and level of excellence that's hard to find anywhere else. I've got a large audience, literally all over the world, literally. I'm an international speaker. I can say that because I did speak in Europe. I hope to get back there possibly next year. We'll see. But here in the United States, we have a cultural crisis going on. We have a political crisis going on. Men I know and work with, men I know personally, such as Steve Quayle, Dave Hodges, Paul Martin, Steve Ben Nunn, my friend Sam Andrews. We, all of us, are in consensus that there's a strong possibility, nothing's definite, a strong possibility of widespread civil disorder sometime soon. I was hoping we'd have a year. I don't know that we have a year. I don't. The reports I'm getting right now are very alarming, quite frankly, about a time frame, about what's going to happen and when. If we have 12 months, I'll take that. We may have a month and have no choice. I'm working on under the belief that 1 month is a possibility, and I hope to have 12 months. And I'll deal with either one. If the civil disorder is in our face 3 to 4 weeks from now, I'll deal with that. If we have a year before it happens, I'll certainly accept that and deal with it when the time comes. I encourage all of you to have a similar attitude. Your attitude, of course, is your choice. I respect that. But just think about this. What would you do if civil disorder broke out the last week of October? What would you do? Do you have a plan? Is it a viable plan that is backed up by reality? Things that you're capable of doing to protect life and liberty and property. Those are the questions I ask you. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 8th of October. This year is quickly slipping away. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. I'm a big fan of Mike Adams, have been for quite a few years. I was hoping to meet Mike in Dallas when I was speaking down there. He was supposed to be there and didn't make it. However, he's been publishing some articles recently that I believe are so important that I've placed on my website. The new one was just posted yesterday. or it's right below on my website at thelibertyman.com. It's right below the image of me receiving the Prague Peace Prize in Prague, Czech Republic. Right below that, it says, Mike Adams, there are no real whistleblowers, just deep state operatives trying to pull off a coup before the Brennan/Comey/Clinton crimes explode and onto the scene. You need to read this article. If you haven't, you really need to read it. I've been warning people for, more than 20 years now on various topics on the radio. I started part-time on radio in 1995 with WGNU 920 on the AM dialer in St. Louis. That's where I got my initial training as a radio talk show host. At 5, it was a live call-in show, 5 incoming lines, no pre-screening, and there was about 30 or more hosts down there. Each one we had a lot of our individual mailbox where we received whatever was coming through the mail to us, and it got to be kind of a standing joke among the staff and the talk show hosts there that we all knew when it was a full moon because of the types of calls we got during the full moon every month. Regardless, read Mike Adams' story. Seriously, you need to read this. Mike's got it nailed. He talks about what's happened in the recent past, what's happening right now, what will happen in the future. And I need to check Mike's website every day to see if there's another article I need to post, but that one's very important. Also, my website, of course, if you have arthritis pain, I have something there that'll help you. If you have joint pain, back pain, the same thing. If you're not sleeping every night as soundly as a small child like I do every night, the same thing will help you. That's called the Energy Cleaner. I do use mine every night. I've been using mine every night for years. I wake up pain-free in the morning with having been well rested, ready to meet the challenges of the day. That's good in normal times. In hard times during civil disorder, it could literally be a matter of life or death to be well rested and pain-free after whatever sleep you can get, because sleep will become a big issue during a crisis. Trust me, it will. So study up on Energy Cleaner at my website. There's a drop-down menu under products. You hit the drop-down menu there, and then you'll see the Energy Cleaner looks like the number 5 down from the top. And you can read about the patent application information, the testimonials from people like Steve Whitten. I talked to Steve yesterday. He may be on next week. I'll be talking to him next week to see about him coming on my show. We're at the 6th anniversary, October the 1st, 6 years ago. He was shot 3 times with a .45 caliber pistol, twice in the chest, once in the right hand. And he gives the Energy Cleaner and myself credit for saving his life. It's a very touching story, to say the least. The Energy Cleaner is $285, shipping included. And to give you some peace of mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the Energy Cleaner. Mattress pads that go with it, they vary in price. I just got 6 more in yesterday. I got everything in stock, ready for immediate shipment. The mattress pads vary in price. We got the twin size, full, queen, king, California King, the handy travel size. So check it out. You can place your order right there using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. The reason PayPal is so secure is the following. You don't give up your credit card information. That's why it's so secure. There's nothing to steal because you haven't given up your credit card information when you use PayPal. If you don't have internet access, you want to place an order for an Energy Cleaner and a mattress pad, call my toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Very nice and polite and well-trained men and women in my hometown, St. Louis, not in Manila, Philippines, or India. That toll-free hour line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Almost everybody listening to me needs improvement in their marksmanship skills. Very few don't. The ones that don't they already have fairly decent skills. Well, they could be improved. If hit your deer every year for years in the past. That shows you're a marksman. If you want to be a world-class marksman, then there's room for improvement in terms of training and equipment. But if you're a novice or don't have lots of experience, especially combat experience, Appleseed will help you. Appleseed Project is the real deal. It is. They've been around for years now. They have an excellent track record of helping men and women get these skills at almost no cost. The men and women who are instructors, they're volunteers. They aren't paid a penny. They may be reimbursed for expenses if they have to travel. I don't know about that. They should be, certainly, if they have to travel, especially stay overnight someplace. Because that adds up pretty quick. Regardless, they're volunteers, and they do this because they love what they're doing. They love their country. They love our history. They want to see other Americans get the training that they need to protect life, liberty, and property. That's why they do this. Pure and simple. Now, there's a social aspect to it, of course, both for the instructors and the students. You'll meet interesting men and women. You may make some friends. You may make one or two lifelong friends. That's certainly a possibility. It's not why people go to these things. It's kind of a side issue. But there's a photograph here of it looks like just over a dozen men and women near a statue of a patriot there. Get these skills. Take a weekend. I know these weekends are precious. We got 52 weekends a year, and each one is precious. Sometimes we do things that don't amount to a hill of beans on these weekends. Sometimes it's very important. But take a weekend of your life, find the Appleseed clinic event near your home. Hopefully you won't have to drive several hundred miles. If you're in some of these states, it looks like you might. It's kind of ironic that people in the middle of the country, in the out west, where there's lots of marksmen and lots of hunting taking place, they don't have any Appleseed projects. I do find that interesting. That there's a line of states there all in a row: Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, and just to the left of that, Wyoming, where there's no Appleseed events. But that's okay. That's okay. If it has enough value, you'll drive Friday to get to the venue and be ready for Saturday morning, whatever it takes. If it has a value for you, you will do that. You will make whatever sacrifice it takes in terms of traveling and lodging expense and food expense, whatever it is. There's a lot, and the cost of the event itself is insignificant. You may end up spending more on travel and lodging than you do on the event itself. If there's any lodging expense at all, it'll be more than the event. But I'm here to tell you it's worth it. If you're a novice when it comes to marksmanship, I don't care if you've been in the military, if you just had basic training in the Army, you're a novice. If you just had basic training in the Navy or the Air Force, you're really a novice. The Marines are an exception. The Marines train riflemen. If you've been a Marine, you're a rifleman by definition. And if you're a former Marine, you may want to go to one of these events anyway. Take your daughter or your son with you. Youngsters have a lot of fun at these events. And you former Marines, you may not be learning much about marksmanship, but you'll learn some things about American history you didn't know before. I can almost guarantee it. There's something for everybody at these events. You do not want, if you can, avoid it. You don't want to go into a crisis owning a rifle and not being properly trained to use it. You really don't. That would be a massive mistake. It would be a terrible mistake. And hopefully you won't do that. I was looking at the map here. We've got no event in Vermont, but right next door at New Hampshire, and then right next door in New York State, and then down in Massachusetts. Anti-gun Massachusetts has an Appleseed event. Well, it's very fitting that the place where this all began, Concord in Lexington, Massachusetts, that they have at least one Appleseed event. How ironic that the state that has been the home of more firearms being manufactured for a longer period of time than any state in the Union has become so anti-gun. How ironic is that? The place where the revolution began, when the Brits demanded that the Americans hand over their weaponry, has become anti-gun. I should mention there's a Walt Disney film back before Disney was taken over by the homosexuals, titled Johnny Tremaine. I think it was made in the 1950s. It's a well-done movie. It has a teenage love story in it. But when they show the events of April 19th, 1775, they actually do a somewhat accurate historical portrayal of what happened there. Somewhat. It's not perfect, but I'm not aware of any theatrical production, Hollywood production, that's got it any better. If there is one, I'd like to know about it. There probably are documentaries that got it better, but as far as a Hollywood drama movie, this is probably about as good as it gets. One thing that I noticed about the film that is historically accurate, following the battles at Lexington and Concord, the British Army was marching back to Boston, and the Americans were running up ahead and setting up sniper positions and sniping at them as they marched along. That did happen, and the movie does show that. And that just shows tenacity on the part of the Americans, that they would continue to engage the British soldiers as they were marching back to their headquarters in Boston, Massachusetts. And I say, good for them. Good for them. And the movie does a job of, these guys, they didn't have horses, they were just running on foot, and they'd hide behind fences and trees and rocks, whatever they could hide behind, and take a shot at the Brits. And just one shot, and maybe three or four guys take one shot each, and then melt into the forest and run ahead, because the Brits were marching. They weren't really running. They were marching fairly slow. So the Americans could run and get pretty far ahead of them and set up the next ambush point. And as I said before, good for them. Good for them. I understand the American Army still has a British flag captured during the war that Britain has periodically asked to be returned, and the U.S. Army refuses to return it. A flag captured during the Revolutionary War. You're all busy. I know you're all busy. You got work. You got family obligations. You got church obligations. You got social events. You got fun things you want to do. All those things are true. Of course they are. It's just normal. Scheduling an event like Appleseed is unusual. It takes away from your normal routine, but it does raise to the level, I believe, of that kind of importance to make the sacrifice, to spend the time, spend the money, and get some good quality training at a very reasonable price. Now, you may want to advance to Freedom Center USA at some point in the future. I encourage you to do that. In the meantime, with the things I'm hearing, I believe that getting a higher level of competence with your rifle would be very wise. Hopefully you won't need those skills. Hopefully you won't. If you read what Dave Hodges is writing, and I know Dave pretty well. He was here on Republic Broadcasting, where I got to meet him, and we talk privately when we need to. We have a mutual friend, my friend Paul Martin, that I talk to Paul at least once or twice a week. Dave's doing some excellent reporting about the deep state, about the United Nations, about the plot to destroy this country. every man and every woman out there listening to me who both has a rifle and is competent with it can help preserve our republic. And that's what it's going to come down to, is preservation of the republic. Certainly you want to protect your family. That's a given, and I expect you to do so, on one hand. On the other, preservation of the republic is not optional. It really is not optional. And we need to wake up, smell the coffee, and get everybody trained up. Make sure you've got a rifle suitable to defend life with, plenty of ammunition, and you're competent to shoot the darn thing. That would be wise, don't you think? I believe so. Don't be intimidated. I know many men, many women feel intimidated by rifles, by men who own rifles, by the rifles themselves. They're unfamiliar and feel intimidated going to a range where they're afraid somebody will make fun of them because they don't know what they're doing. Generally, that doesn't happen. It's been my experience. The senior shooters at any range are usually helpful and will gladly help out any way they can. I should mention, along these lines, I've got a concealed carry class coming up Saturday, November 2nd. If you want to attend that, you need to contact Sam Andrews and make a reservation down there at Freedom Center, USA. Telephone number down there is 417-718-2597. Be right back. Sam Andrews will be my assistant instructor. We spend 8 hours together. You'll learn very important things that will help you in your daily life when it comes to defending life. And that's what it's all about, is defending innocent life. When you may and when you may not use deadly force. That's the heart of the class, and that's what we spend a lot of time on. When you may and when you may not use deadly force. If you're a novice coming in there, you'll learn the basics of firearm safety, how to safely load and unload a pistol, how to carry the pistol, how to hit what you're aiming at. Most men and women who come there do get an improvement, if they're experienced shooters, an improvement in their marksmanship. You won't find, I should say, a higher level of instruction or knowledge in a one-day class for $120 anywhere. It's a lot of information packed into that short period of time. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're done by 4 p.m. And it's a lot. The state of Missouri controls what I instruct, and I follow the state of Missouri's guidelines to a T. You'll leave there with knowledge that is very important. Your marksmanship will be improved. You'll also take with you the copies of 2 pertinent Missouri statutes concerning proper use of deadly force and the concealed weapons statute in the state of Missouri. And it'll be fun. We have some humor in there and levity. We take a lunch break in the middle of the day for a little bit, and I'm looking forward to it. So if you want to join Sam Andrews and I for this concealed carry class on Saturday, November the 2nd, you need to call up Sam and make a reservation. The telephone number down there at Freedom Center, USA is 417-718-2597. I say again, 417-718-2597. And I'm looking forward to it. I didn't do any classes for more than 2 years. Missouri changed their concealed carry statute a couple of years ago. This is actually the 3rd year, where you no longer need a concealed carry permit to carry a firearm concealed. I don't agree with that. It's more than just another source of income for me. I've been a criminal defense investigator since 1973, and I know the consequences of improper use of a firearm. I've dealt with them professionally. And the average man and the average woman simply does not know the parameters of when they may and when they may not use deadly force. So, and Missouri's concealed carry permit is good in many, I don't have the list of the states in front of me, but it's more than half the 50 states the Missouri concealed carry permit is good in. So that's a good thing, too. Top of the hour break. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Tuesday, the 8th day of October. The prepper tip of the day, I will encourage people to sign up and take a marksmanship class at Appleseed. The website is appleseedinfo.org. I say again, appleseedinfo.org. We have a special guest this first part of this hour. My friend, we're calling him Billy Bob. We've been friends for more than 10 years. And Billy Bob is a over-the-road truck driver. And Leon is with us also. Leon is welcome to jump in with any questions. Billy Bob's going to tell us about his firsthand observations of United Nations armored vehicles, United Nations thin-skinned vehicles being transported inside the United States on American trains. Good morning, Billy Bob.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, now, we've talked privately about this several times, so I got it pretty clear in my mind. Was it four different trains you saw these vehicles on?
Yes, sir. At least four. And
the approximate time frame from the first one to the last one that you've observed, month and year.
Month and year. It would have been. Oh boy, yeah. I was racking my brain trying to figure out all the time.
It
was over the summer. It was over this summer. It was all this year.
Okay.
Because I had been traveling out to California and Utah and all of that stuff out that way, out west. And what caught my eye is I used to work for the railroad, so this train, you could see the whole entire train out there when you're going out west because of the mountains and the flatlands and deserts. Right. And it had 5 engines pulling. It had 2 engines in the middle, and it had an engine on the end. And that's really what I was looking at until it crossed underneath me, and it was UN vehicle after UN vehicle on the backs of these trains.
Okay, now these are flatbeds, and it was a mix. Well, first of all, the UN vehicles were painted what color?
They were, I think they were a little bit different than a desert storm color. So they were a little bit lighter, and they had a giant UN on the side of each vehicle.
That was white letters where it said UN?
Yes, with white letters, okay. Yes.
Now, because some of these vehicles could have been manufactured in the United States, it's important to give clarity about 2 things. First of all, were they new vehicles or used vehicles?
They looked used to me because the tires were faded and, they're not new looking anymore. They looked sun-beaten, like that. So they looked used to me.
And were they going towards the ocean or away from the ocean?
They were coming in from the ocean. I believe I was in New Mexico, and it's pretty open there, so they were coming in. So they would have been, I was going west, they were coming east.
Okay. Both those things are critical, which means these vehicles were not just recently manufactured, and they were not being hauled to some seaport to be hauled overseas. Now, some of these vehicles were armored vehicles, weren't they?
Yes, they were. I didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't see any tanks on there. I don't believe. I didn't sit around. I mean, I'm traveling at 75 miles an hour, and they started the train tracks turn, and it goes right underneath. So if I was standing on that bridge, I could have jumped down on top of this train. That's how close they were to me. So I saw the vehicles. There were many different types. There were the big covered wagon ones. There were rubber tire fronts with like tank tracks on the back of some of them. There were smaller vehicles. There was a whole bunch of different kinds of vehicles on there.
Okay, so we described those generally as both a mix of armored vehicles and thin-skinned transportation type vehicles. So there was a mix of both, weren't there?
Correct. Yes.
And all 4 of these trains were during this calendar year, 2019. And the most recent train you saw was when, sir?
I'd say maybe 10 weeks, 10, 11 weeks ago.
So
I just started a new job. So
in summer. Okay, so it was still summertime.
Yes, in the summer. Yes.
So all these vehicles you saw the first 9 months of this year, basically.
Basically, yes.
Okay. Now, you're continuing your career over-the-road truck driver. I don't believe before you and I talked, you understood the true importance and significance of your observations. As you're traveling from this point forward, you're going to keep some recording devices, cameras handy, and make more detailed notes, won't you, sir?
Oh, definitely will. I put a big high-powered camera in my car last night. I'm leaving Missouri and going back to Chicago, so I have my camera with me for long-distance shots.
Okay. Now, when you worked, going back to this train, had the total number of locomotives it had was how many?
I believe 7. There were 5 in the front. That's what caught my eye, and 2 in the middle, and 1 in the rear. So
that would be 8. That would be 8. That would be 8. Yeah. Since you were employed by the railroad, approximately how many cars would you estimate, and how long was the train? Might be a better question.
Oh man, I would say at least a couple of miles. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's hard to say what it's way out there. And
I know you're typical. When they haul coal from the mines to these power plants, they're typically about a mile long, but they don't have that kind of weight. They don't have that kind of locomotives. I don't think I've ever seen a train with 8 locomotives myself.
No, I haven't either. So I go by these mines where they mine coal a lot, on my route. So right. You can see the distance of them and how many trains they use, 2 or 3 possibly.
Right. And so I'm trying to get a clear picture for our listeners here. Your typical coal train is about a mile long. How would you compare that typical coal train a mile long to what you observed?
Just by the amount of cars and stuff. When I'm bored, I count semis in accidents on the other side, and I have gotten up to over 750 semis, in an accident on the westbound side if I'm going east or whatever, just because I'm bored. And that is just mile after mile after mile. So, I'm not right on the money, but you can tell how long it is just by looking at different things.
Right. So, in all 4 of these trains, would they be more or less equal in terms of the number of locomotives and the length of the trains and the makeup of a mix of armored vehicles and thin-skinned vehicles?
Some of them were more of the smaller vehicles like Humvees and stuff, the older style Humvees. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Wisconsin, and they have those new vehicles that are coming out to the different Air Force and all of that.
Right.
I don't know if they use Humvees or whatever. I think they're called a JHTV or something like that. They're taking over from the Humvee. They're getting rid of the Humvee. And they were all brand new because you could see that they had tags and stuff still on the sides of the trucks, stickers on the windows and stuff. So they were being delivered.
Right. Well, that would be a different thing. And those vehicles did not have UN painted on the side of them, did they?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Not yet, no.
So that would be a routine shipment of routine American military equipment compared to what we're concerned about here, which is United Nations equipment.
Okay.
Leon, you're sitting there listening and patiently. And Leon, do you have any questions for Billy Bob?
Hello, Billy Bob.
Hello, sir.
Hi. Yeah, I have seen many convoys when I drive too, and I travel the nation as well. And you don't have a cell phone? I'm surprised you didn't try to, after seeing 4 trains, you would have caught, you would have maybe be able to pull over and videotape it, or at least, get shots of it.
Well, that's hindsight.
I know.
We all have 20/20 hindsight. That's that opportunity's gone. What questions do you have, Leon, for Billy Bob?
And so you're saying it mainly in New Mexico? Because I would love to be able to intercept some of these and take pictures and video and actually upload it, send it to John, and get this out, because that is definitely something of noteworthy nature. And,
correct.
So other than New Mexico, where else did you see?
I don't remember all the states. I've been in 47 of the lower states, and most of it's all been out west, other than some transportation on backs of semis where I've seen tanks in the last few weeks coming in, but they didn't say UN on it either, so I'm not quite sure what that's all about. But it's mainly, I guess it's mainly New Mexico and out that way is what I tried to remember.
All right. Yeah, it all, after a while, it all kind of runs together. Go ahead, Leon.
And what about, do you still have contacts since you worked in the industry with the railroad? Did you run the train numbers? If you saw, they were Santa Fe or BNSF, you can write the numbers down and contact your old friends saying, hey, what's the destination of that? And I'm surprised if we can find that information since it's pretty much public record where they're going. We won't be able to contract now.
Yeah, it's been a number of years since I worked for the railroad. I don't know if I would have any contacts, and it was out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the, I don't remember what the train was.
That's okay.
Were they all the same carrier?
Yeah, it was Burlington Northern Santa Fe, I believe, the orangey gold with the black. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Well, that's a useful piece of information there. That's useful to get that information. Billy Bob, I know you're on the road right now, and I know you got your camera ready and your notepad handy. And
yes, sir.
It may be a day or two, it may be a month or two before we get more updates for us. But and I should tell our listeners, Billy Bob is a personal friend. I've known him for many years. He's the real deal, a very solid family man. If you can tell by listening to him, he doesn't mess around. He's a serious guy, and he's got this information for us. Leon, any other questions before we wrap up this interview?
Is there a way to look, just like planes, you can track, a flight number from here to Paris. Is there a way to get the caboose, the engine number, and find out where it was going and where it went, if you know the date?
Oh, I don't know if there would be or not. I guess.
Well, that's something we can look into. That's outside Billy Bob's expertise, but Leon, you and I can maybe look into that ourselves and see if we can find some resolution.
Yeah, I will write down the engine numbers for sure from now on, or get a good picture of them. So
there we go. Billy Bob, thank you for your time, sir. We'll be talking privately, and be safe out there on the road, sir. Okay,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, Leon, this is, we see anonymous reports all the time. Somebody we don't know took a video someplace we don't know that can't be documented. Here we have a first-hand witness, a very good friend of mine. I've been to his home several times. He's been to my home. I know his wife. I know his children. And my wife and his wife were friends. And this is a solid, stable gentleman making a living out there on the road, who's made these observations. And until we talked Friday, he didn't know how important these observations were. Now he does. And he's been struggling with his memory these past 4 days to to recollect as much detail as he can. But I think we got enough detail to certainly get people's attention. Don't you think that, Leon?
Yes, sir. And since I'm going to be on the road for the next 2 weeks, I always have my camera there. And being a PI like you had been in the past, I'm definitely going to stop immediately if I see anything with, I always get pictures of the Army, but I'm here in Colorado, so, Fort Carson's here. But when you see, and also over-the-road convoys, in the summertime, when I know,
and I get people all the time, John, I saw a convoy of trucks. Well, if it's June, July, and August, that's when the reserves and the Guard do their annual training. And, of course, there's going to be convoys on the highway. That's a given. American vehicles on American highways. That's expected. That's normal. That's no big deal. However, armored vehicles that are marked with United Nations markings traveling into the interior of this country from the coast, that's not normal. That's not typical. Right. That's very disturbing. That's very concerning. Now, our friend Dave Hodges at the Common Sense Show his website's thecommonsenseshow.com, is doing an excellent job pulling together these witnesses from around the country. And now we have another witness who I know personally. He's not anonymous. He's anonymous to the public because I want to protect his identity. But he's gone public with what he's observed and will continue to observe. He's making his living driving back and forth, East Coast to West Coast, every day, every month, every week, all year long. And these observations are important to wake people up and get them to pay attention and understand that we are certainly, our republic is at risk. What do you think, Leon?
Absolutely. You might want to, if his request is if you put that out like you put the request out for the TV and the movie Coast, when you describe the change. Right. Just say, if you get video that can confirm the location, get mile markers and things like that, of specifically UN videos of vehicles, and get the information on the track.
Detail. Well, Leon, you just did it, and I'll back that up. Yes, we have thousands of people listening to us right now. Keep a camera handy. Most cell phones are cameras also. If you see vehicles that have United Nations markings on them, we don't care about U.S. military. Vehicles with United Nations marking, it's a big white UN on the side. The vehicles may be tan, they may be green, they may be white. Get photographs, get video. We need the date, the time, the location, the direction of travel, the highway they're on, or the railroad. We need those details, and get those to me, and we will post those that information, and I'll make sure that Dave Hodges and Paul Martin and Steve Quayle and all the guys I work with get this information also. So that's a great idea, Leon, and you and I just got the word out, haven't we?
Yes, sir, and I will definitely continue. Since I'm going to Indianapolis and then down to Lafayette and then San Antonio, back to Dallas and back home in the next month, I'm going to make it a point to, if I see it, I'm taking pictures and I'll send it your way.
Hold that thought. We got a break. The call number is 800-313-9443. The 8th of October. We're going on a cruise. I'm going. Leon's going. We're hoping that Sam Andrews and his wife can go. We do not have confirmation yet. This is going to be a fun cruise. It can be romantic if you choose it to be. And we're going to be leaving Florida the 9th of February, returning a week later, the 16th. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. You've got until the end of the month to make up your mind and reserve your cabin. If you don't have internet access and you'd like to get a nice full-color brochure mailed to you, call our cruise director, Betsy Murphy. She'll be glad to mail you a full-color brochure and talk to you about the cruise. Betsy's telephone number is 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Well, Leon, we haven't had a chance to talk about doTERRA oils, and I was just looking at my doTERRA inventory a couple of days ago. It's large and growing and varied. My goal is to have 2 or 3 bottles of every oil that there is for future use. And I look at that inventory and I think, boy, this really gives me some peace of mind knowing that I've got this, that my daughter's going to have it at some point in the future. My grandchildren will have access to it. It really is peace of mind to know that this inventory is part of my legacy. And you're developing a legacy for your son as well, aren't you?
Absolutely. And the only thing I would say is I also, just like with my all my important medical and other storage things, I diversify and I store them in multiple locations just for the security of having, if there's a fire, if there's a New Madrid earthquake, I have backups. So if for some reason there was a major catastrophe, I'd still have, a large percentage of it. So that's the only thing I would also say is people who are, knowing the implications if you have all your eggs in one basket and you have to actually depart from your retreat. If you don't have a backup, whether it's ammo, whether it's food or water purifiers, medical supplies, you should always have, multiple areas so you have a backup location, whether it's an off-site storage location, which isn't the highest in security, but at least you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So, I definitely applaud you in doing that. And even if you have to bury some of them, and what's nice about the oils, along with all the other things, is you can bury them as long as they're cool, dark, and dry, and you can withdraw them later and still have use. So that is definitely something I'm doing right now. I picked up a bunch of the 10 of the 120 millimeter green cans, and I also bought 3 auger tips, and I found them used at a pallet shelving place, and I'm gonna get a 2-person auger up, and I'm gonna put some of these down along my path, which will have things along the way.
Right. That's a smart thing to do. At my website, under products, there's this drop-down menu for doTERRA oils. That's how you get started as far as buying the oils. In terms of educating yourself, you need 2 copies of the same book, the 5th edition and the 11th edition of Modern Essentials. We got a call on hold here. We got John in Texas. Good morning, John.
Good morning, John. I've got a couple questions. It's not
Tennessee.
about doTERRA, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I heard you either yesterday or the day before talking about President Trump activating the Marine Reserve.
Right.
Wondered if you could tell us any more about what happened, and I've got one more question.
Well, there's a photocopy of the military orders from the Pentagon activating the Marine Corps Reserves at Steve Quayle's website that you can read that. I'm working to contact a couple of my private contacts to get any follow-up I can. I have not gotten follow-up on that yet. What was the other question, John?
Okay, yesterday Vice President Pence was in Nashville at one of the meatpacking Tyson plants, which is on the north side of Nashville. Nashville International is on the east side of Nashville. When he left about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he went west. I had a friend that saw the motorcade about probably 15 miles west of Nashville. There's no airport out there. So I'm wondering what is your thought is, if you had to speculate, of what might have prompted the Vice President to head west in a motorcade when Memphis is 200 plus miles away?
Well,
something that happened yesterday, because I had also heard that Trump had left the White House.
Right. Well, I can tell you what I believe. It would just be pure speculation, and I don't know if it was a deviation from his planned itinerary or it was something already on his itinerary. And the president leaves the White House pretty frequently, so that's just what presidents do. They come and go, and so it would just be speculation. I'm not sure what purpose it would serve, John.
So you don't know if any... I hear the music. I'll let it go. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the call, John. We got a break. We'll be right back. Here on Tuesday. It's Tuesday, the 8th of October. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Lots of things there, things that will inform you, educate you, entertain you, possibly even make you angry. The speech given by the top Chinese general to his top leaders, the top men in the Chinese military. It's 19 pages translated there. This is the real deal. This tells you what they want. They want our country. They don't want us. They want us dead. You need to read this. You need to read that speech. You really do. In the meantime, we got routine things to deal with, such as it's called life, and that would mean having energy to do the things we want to do in our daily life. Getting a great night's sleep every night to wake up refreshed, pain-free. That would be a great thing. That's what I do every night. Leanne does that every night. And you can also, if you have an energy cleaner. Energy cleaner is $285, shipping included to American zip codes. I do offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you're doubting Thomas, I encourage that. You should be a doubting Thomas. what's this homicide detective talk show host doing talking about my health? Well, I'm talking about your health, and I'm encouraging you to check this out. If you've got arthritis pain, you really need an energy cleaner. So check out the details at my website at thelibertyman.com. Read up on it, study on it, make your decision. Get yourself an energy cleaner, a mattress pad to go with it. Use PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. Send me a check. My address is there at my website. You can call my toll-free line 24 hours a day, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. This is the time we take to talk about doTERRA oils, and you can, if you would like, and a lot of people could use a second stream of income. doTERRA can become a part-time business for you. And Leon, you'd be glad to talk to people about that. How would they contact you, sir?
Yes, sir. The way they contact me is my number is 303-495-2188 Mountain Time. 303-495-2188. And if you need a private consultation about whether best oils to use and why to use them and how to use them, Leon will be glad to help you with that also. We got a caller on hold here. We had Kenny in Louisiana. Good morning, Kenny.
Good morning. Hey, I've been a truck driver since 1982 when I graduated high school and have run over the road. And Billy Bob, what you're saying there, I've seen lots of these rail cars going west. I have never seen one go east. He's saying something there. And, you've got a lot of truck drivers out here listening, and I think you opened their eyes. I'll be paying attention because I go around the bases in El Paso and in Mississippi out here, different bases.
Right.
And I'll be paying attention to what I see out there, and I'll take a picture with my phone. When he was talking there, Kenny. Not that I'm not doubting him at all. I'm just saying that's weird because they're always going to the coast.
Right. Well, they manufacture these trucks in this country, and they have to be transported to the coast to take them to whatever they're going to. But coming back into the country, into the interior, that's what's unusual. That's why we had that conversation, Kenny.
Yes, sir. And I'm just all the drivers out here. Let's pay attention and let's help John out here on this. This is something we all see every day, and we also see a lot of tanks on backs of trucks going everywhere these days, too, more than I've noticed in the past. And I don't want to hold up your show here, but I just want to make that comment.
Okay, well, they transport tanks all the time for routine maintenance and training. But if they're American tanks, we're not really concerned about that. Kenny, thank you for the call, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Well, the truckers are on the roads 24/7, 365, and when you're 10 feet above the pavement, you got a pretty good view of things, don't you, there, Leon?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, coming back from Wyoming 2 weeks ago from the last training I went to, there was a truck. I should send you a picture of it. The wind out there is horrid, and this truck was laying in the middle of the median on its side, and it looks like it'd been there for at least a day or two because nothing was left there. They'd already taken everything out of the truck. But
right.
Yeah, having the extra vertical is definitely helpful. And I'm just curious, what is the legal mandate of having those kind of UN vehicles in America? Not just transiting, but actually operating on them. I mean, Katrina was an example, Hurricane Katrina, and Mexican Army came up to help. So what is the U.S. treaties and things like that? What is their role and what can and cannot they do?
Well, Obama signed something that allows the United Nations to come in there under certain circumstances. I don't have that information in front of me. But there'd be two parts to this. What the United Nations can do independently, which is very limited, and what they can do if they're invited in. A lot of concern is focused on California and Governor Gavin, I think his name is, circumstances under which Governor Gavin would invite United Nations peacekeepers on in the event of a widespread, out-of-control civil disorder. So as far as them being transported across this country, I don't know if there's any legalities or protocols or anything of that nature being transported from point A to point B that I'm aware of. I think all those rules come in and laws come in when it comes to actually doing something on American soil, some kind of activity other than being transported. Well, we're getting the word out here, Leon, and we got the truckers on alert. I know I have a lot of truckers listening because I'm in regular contact with these guys and gals, and they see a lot of activity all over the country, and they'll be keeping their eyes and open and their cameras ready. Getting back to the oils. When you're over the road and you want to stay awake, the peppermint, just a little peppermint under your nostrils, will really help you keep you perked up and alert, won't it?
Yes, sir. It is very effective. It's very much a vasodilator, as in it increases blood flow. So if you are exercising like your grandson does in football, it increases focus. It also increases the ability to breathe better. So peppermint is a fantastic oil for that. And then when you finally get to the rest stop and you're about to exceed your daily driving limits, you can take lavender, and it will help you drastically in sleeping and having a more sound sleep, especially if you use the portable energy cleaner and you sit on it, or you have a full-size mattress, and you can also do that when you're driving. So I would definitely recommend that.
And don't confuse the two. Don't confuse the two. Yes, you want to stay awake, don't get the lavender under your nose.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question. I have a good friend, very much like your Billy Bob, or your Pentagon contacts. He is American, but he travels to China often, and he speaks Chinese fluently. Do you have a copy of the original, or do you have a link for the original, the general who did the speech?
In Mandarin?
He wants to be the person. Yes, in Mandarin.
Well,
yes.
I don't have that. I'm not sure what it would take to backtrack and find it. I never really looked into that. So I'm right at this moment at a loss as to how to get that. But maybe that can be. I'd be starting from scratch like anybody else. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I tried to look it up, looking at least on his name, but I could not locate it. And he said if this general did it, there'd probably be some YouTube videos, but most likely they would have confiscated the cameras when they actually did the original speech.
No, there would be. There would be the security at this kind of event where you give this speech would be a normal level of military grade security for a classified speech. If it was never meant for anybody to be aware of except the people at the event, there probably was no video, unless this guy's ego wanted to make a copy of it for his own personal use. I doubt any video exists that a person could get their hands on. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to it, Leon. We're looking at the other side of the planet, inside a communist dictatorship that knows how to keep things secret. The fact this thing got out at all is amazing.
Yeah, that's what blows me away. It was so long and so in depth. It's like somewhere there should be the original copy or a recording, audio recording. Because whenever I take classes, I always record it so I can always play it back for my other training mates. And if I'm taking a medical class, so I can actually educate others and refresh my memory. So I'd love to see if we could find that, because that would definitely give a lot more credibility if you could see the original in Mandarin and then the English translation, so they can't say no, that's just propaganda.
Right. Well, it's a good. It would be a good exercise to attempt to do that, and I wouldn't even have a good starting point. People that probably know are in the CIA. That's who would know. But getting maybe a FOIA request to the CIA might yield results. Maybe not. You may get a polite letter back saying they don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So nothing ventured, nothing gained. I would say the CIA or NSA, National Security Agency, would be the two places that if anybody had the original Mandarin, they would have it.
And how did you come across it? That's what I didn't.
A friend of mine got that to me. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like the open source, because I tried finding it on, on that, and I finally eventually got it, but I can't remember where I located it or where it was originally obtained. So I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine got it to me, and I'm just so happy that we did get it. It's been another brick in the wall, as my friend Paul Martin would say. A very important brick in the wall. Very important.
Yes. So now, when you're talking about the other benefits of the oils, so think about it. You're sitting on your derriere driving 8 hours or more a day, and so your back hurts. So Deep Blue is a blend by doTERRA that's exclusive, that has peppermint. It has several other oils, and it's very, very effective in pain relief and abatement. So yesterday I was working on painting my truck right before I'm going on the trip. So I'm going to prime it. So, I'm holding up sanders and everything else and taking parts off. And so, yeah, I had some impacted muscles yesterday, so I put on the Deep Blue and also peppermint before. And so it is very much, it's a natural analgesic, just like lavender. So either way, a truck driver or anyone who does a lot of driving can use the oils for long-distance driving, for pain, for focus, to finally go to sleep eventually. And so there are many other oils. And you can also use the, wild orange if you're dealing with stress and you have to drive through Chicago with a big rig, or Houston or LA, and people are always cut in front of the truck. So you can have a diffuser, or you can just touch it to your nose and use it as a way to calm down. And people who deal with anxiety, they have oils like lavender that are very good. And Balance is another blend exclusive to doTERRA that is very good for anxiety. And so we actually use it with the veterans who have PTSD. And so the combination you use is peppermint, Balance, and frankincense. You can mix all three of them together. And so for people who have episodic issues of PTSD, you can also have the diffuser going on at night. So you don't have these night terrors, and it is very much a calming oil. And you can add all the citrus oils that are great for stress and frustration. So for all your truckers who are out there, you can use the oils nonstop. Plus, when you go to the truck stops, use On Guard, because you know what happens, at the truck shops, and the lot lizards and all the other interesting diseases that are there. And then the people who throw out the little water, the plastic containers of urine. So if touching the walls and the doors and things like that, you deal with all sorts of diseases. And so if you have On Guard, you can protect yourself, going through the trucks. And, a lot of diseases are passed through the gas pump and the fuel pump, because the hands, they come right out of the truck. It's been touching the steering wheel, and it just seems to be a perpetual process. So you can always protect yourself in that regard using the oils. And there's even an On Guard spray that you can put on your hands, sanitizing. It doesn't have the triclosan, which is a hormone inhibitor, in it. And so triclosan is also antibacterial. So it is terrible for humans, and it's actually it's banned in the whole state of Minnesota because of how bad it is on human hormones. So the state of...
Really?
Yes, and also the entire country of Canada has banned it. So there's other countries, but that is America Light, and they've even banned it. So it shows, America is just the breeding ground of the test bed for all the chemicals, and they just pass it on to the rest of the world. And a lot of countries have already banned things coming out of America because they realize this. Their own scientists have found, this is bad. We don't even want it in our country. And a good example is DuPont years ago, a Dow Chemical, and they killed 80,000 plus people in the Far East. And so, they've learned that everything from America is peaches and cream.
Well, everything in America is not peaches and cream, obviously. But the oils will help, regardless. The oils will help you achieve your goals of having the fun you want to have in life, do the work you want to do in life, wake up with energy, and just go about your activities the way you want to go about them. And that's really what this is all about, isn't it, Leon?
Yes, sir. We look to educate, and whether it's the energy cleaner or essential oils, how much these can benefit your life now, as well as during a crisis. So, we look to improve, and we strive to improve lifestyle and quality of life, and this is a simple way of doing it, and to protect yourself and your family at the same time.
Sounds like a win-win situation to me. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
you get yourself 2 copies of the same book, the 5th edition and the 11th edition of the book Modern Essentials, a great reference book. The 5th edition says things are not allowed to say anything talk about anymore. The 11th edition just came out last month. It has all the latest information there, including the new oils. And then just get started. Go to my website at thelibertyman.com. Get to the to the doTERRA website and check out the oils. Here's our last break. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 8th of October. Leon, this has been an unusual hour for us, starting out with the interview with Billy Bob and transitioning to the doTERRA oils. But we got a lot of good information out here. We're helping the truckers understand that they can be more alert and be safer if they use the peppermint oil, the energy cleaner. And it applies to everybody. Many of our listeners make road trips, and being alert it helps you be safe, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It does make an impact on the, safety, public safety in general, because, after reading all the stats from the National Transportation Board, I found out that over 50% of the accidents occur, between 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock, even though it only makes up 8 hours of the 24-hour clock. So, and there's a huge impact of alcohol and drugs, but it's predominantly the fatigue aspects. And it got so bad, even that video that we talk about often called the Sleepless in America, how many accidents and major ones that were attached. We're talking international. The Valdez accidents, Exxon Valdez, Chernobyl was involved with that. Sleep-deprived scientists with Challenger, the Space Shuttle Challenger. So these are major calamities throughout the world in different countries that have been caused because of lack of sleep. And so I've seen many trucks on their side at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Many times I've just got to the point of I better pull over because I could be one of those people too. So yeah, sleep is crucial, and the oils and the energy cleaner are helpful in that, gratefully helpful in pursuing that restful sleep. I always marvel at how you describe yourself as you sleep as a little baby. So it's always funny to hear you say that.
I do. Yeah, it's very gratifying actually to be able to do that, and I want all our listeners to have that opportunity also. When you sleep is when you heal, and that's not optional, is it?
No, it isn't, exactly, and it's crucial. So, yes, I beseech everyone to learn more, get started, get the oils, get the energy cleaner, and you apply these things to your life, because we don't have the luxury of time, especially if John's friends are accurate about what's happening in the next 12 months. We definitely need to amp up our preps across the board. And John, I have a question. I sent you an email about the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be doing some combat medic training with some 18 Delta down in. Okay. And so I if I'm able to attend, but I also put in a request about Fort Lauderdale or the cruise. So if you can check that out and see if that works, I'd be quite interested.
I'll check that out and I'll let you know. Appreciate that,
yes, sir.
Leon. Okay. Well, we're pretty much out of time here, Leon. I want to thank you for being with us as always, and we'll have you back next. When does your training start?
It's going to start next week, and then it goes on the week there.
We're not going to have you for a couple of weeks then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If anything changes, I'll definitely reach out.
Well, we'll soldier on without you, and you have fun down there, and I'll be jealous of you being down there and having fun while I'm doing radio. But have fun, Leon. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Okay, thank you, sir. Tomorrow morning we'll have Professor McCanning with his first hour and Jeff Nyquist Hour 2. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your